Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to talk about the Drogar campaign. And so at this point we pick up with Sleepy Stonyhorn, and now he has two adventurers who have joined his crew. So he has a human ranger by the name of Chella, and he has a human fighter by the name of Riblax, and they have both lost their friend, the gnome wizard Ithor, who is buried right outside of Phandalin. And Ithor fought with them against a purple worm, and Ithor was killed. Okay, but this purple worm was killed for Warforged K4, the leader of the miners. And then the miners were safe from this purple worm because they were doing all this mining, and this purple worm was about to burst through and eat a bunch of them, right? So Harbin Wester paid 1,800 gold for to protect the miners, which is also interesting because, like, Harbin Wester is generally basically, if you read Dungeons & Dragons, Harbin Wester is the iconic mayor of Phandalin, right, which is a historic point between Neverwinter and Waterdeep. And Harbin Wester is always depicted as a fat jerk, right? And so I'm kind of adjusting that in my game. He's still a fat jerk, but he's a good mayor. He actually literally he is very vain, and he likes to feel important, even though he's just this jank little mayor in a town that is growing, right? But he's effective at doing, in my campaign, Harbin Wester is effective, right? And so one of the things is he's like, well, I got these miners, I got these woodcutters. If the miners are dead, then that doesn't really serve the town. So he paid this 1,800 gold to get this purple worm killed. But Ithor died, right? So at this point, everything's set, right? So Sleepy Stonyhorn is going to leave in the morning, right, with Chella and with Riblax, and they're going to go into the Neverwinter Wood, and they're going to seek to meet with the Emerald Enclave, and they're going to try to convince the Emerald Enclave to say, hey, I know you guys hate that the woodcutters are cutting down all the trees in the Hotenow Forest, but the reality is the Hotenow Forest, the Neverwinter Forest, actually, the woodcutters are just fine, because the trees grow unnaturally, they grow magically fast in this place. So one, there's tons of trees, and they grow back ridiculously fast because of how magical the Neverwinter Forest is. And we know you guys love, tree hugging and, and nature and all that. But these woodcutters, they have a high demand for their wood from Neverwinter and from Waterdeep, and they need more space to cut wood, right? So I need you guys to give them a break. And so that's his mission, right? And they're going to leave in the morning. So the only thing left, and I have to say, and I wanted to share with you, I love Dungeons & Dragons so much, right? So this particular session was overpacked. It was overpacked with too much stuff, right? And the reason why was I made 3 adventures, right, to make sure that the hardcore player who's playing Sleepy Stonyhorn as his Dwarf Ranger player character, that he'd have choices, right? But the reality is, within the first 20 minutes of the session, Sleepy Stonyhorn made his own adventure and said, I'm going to go to the Emerald Enclave, and I'm going to help out the woodcutters and get them more room to cut wood. That wasn't my adventure. That's an entire adventure. I didn't bring that forward, right? I had all these other adventures set up, right? So I should have cut my own stuff, but I didn't, and I left it in, right? And so I just want to, and why am I telling you this? Why am I telling you, hey, I did a sucky move and I overstuffed this particular episode with too much adventure, right? It's a cannoli with too much of the sweet cheese in it, like it was overflowing, right? Because I want you to know, like, it's hard to dungeon master, and I want you to be encouraged. If you're screwing up at your table, that's okay, if you have people who appreciate your effort, right? I put too much adventure I put too much cheese in the cannoli on this one, right? It was overflowing. There was too much, right? But I'm incredibly blessed to have this incredibly good, patient, kind player, right? And it was okay. And he appreciates my effort more than he appreciates perfect execution. And I'm incredibly blessed to have that, right? And I just wanted to share that with you. And I want to encourage you, like, keep going. You're gonna screw up. You're gonna do bad things, right? Dungeon mastering perfectly is not the goal. Dungeon mastering, recklessly dungeon mastering, passionately dungeon mastering, period. Not stopping. Doing what's necessary to keep the table open. Doing what's necessary to keep the game rolling, right? That's what's important, okay? So at this point, everything you're about to hear, none of this needed to happen, right? I should have just cut it, right? And gone right to the adventure that the player did, right? And I screwed that up. And also, I just wanted to, say, hey, I'm here, and I'm telling you, hey, I'm Scott Garibay. I'm one of the best dungeon masters in the world. But I screw up too, right? So, like, it's okay, right? You don't have to be perfect. You need to be persistent. You need to be on your game, and you need to be rolling forward, right? So now I'm going to tell you what happened when Gray, the human bard, sang in the Stonehill Inn. And there's some pretty cool adventure here, but we're going to get to it next time when I continue recapping Dungeons & Dragons Drogar campaign. And this was session 2. And I am honored to be sharing. I want to thank you. I really love running Dungeons & Dragons. I intend to do it until they put me in a pine box. And part of the joy of Dungeons & Dragons is recapping the story for you. It really helps me because it helps me to know what's going on. And then when I get back to the table, it's not just fresh in my head because I ran it. It's fresh in my head because I told you the story. And the fact that you clicked on this video and you listened to this, I can't thank you enough. My stuff is hard to listen to. I am not a normal channel, right? Like, I get that. And I just really wanted to say, every person who listens to this, I really, really, really appreciate you. You are kind, you are good, you are noble, and you are part of Dungeons & Dragons. And when we share our tales to the world, it's important. And I really can't thank you enough for listening. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.